Okay. We really want to know.
The new Senate leader, Senator Okpeyemi Bamidele, has stated that a single political party cannot determine the principal office holders of the Senate. Bamidele also dismissed talks that both the majority and minority leadership positions were sent from the presidency. He said that apart from the ruling political party, All Progressive Congress APC, 6 other parties had elected members in the 10th Senate. Members of the opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP) had accused Senate President Godswin Akpabio of not honoring the list for majority leadership it sent. But Bamidele said the emergence of the principal officers was not rigorous, as he maintained that stakeholders came together to fill the minority leadership positions.
It's an unusual situation, and it shows again the growth of our democracy and the dynamics, of our polity. Votes of Nigerians are beginning to count more than ever before. And we are beginning to see a situation where no political party again can say or boast that even if we bring a goat, the goat will win, as we used to hear in the past. Today we have a situation where 7 political parties are the vehicles through which people came to the Senate. Of course, once you step into the red chamber, you are a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as we always say. It will not matter which party brought you. But for the purpose of constituting the leadership, our rules still recognize the fact that our political parties will have a role to play. So, if you have 6 minority parties acting as vehicles that brought people to the Senate, and you're not looking for a letter, which of the parties will now write a letter? It doesn't matter how many people are in PDP. It remains a minority party. Just like YPP or ABGA with only one senator who came in on that vehicle or on that platform. Basically, what was most important, what was more democratic, was for all 50 of them to meet as minorities and take their decisions. They had some meetings that were deadlocked, and it wasn't for us to look into what they were doing. I mean, minority will always have their say, but the majority would have their way. Minority had their say to the extent that the Senate even had to be stood down for an executive session for them to have all their say. And when the Senate reconvened in plenary session, the majority had their way, and those names were announced. So we are on course.
Effort to bring back the controversial disbursement of 500 billion naira loan to the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria so far the setback during Wednesday plenary. The Senate President Godswin Akpabio stood down a motion on the matter. Sponsor of the motion and Senate Chief Whip Aliu Duma had queried the rationale behind the stepping down, noting that the fund was unevenly shared among states. The motion, which borders on the unequal disbursements of loans, sought, amongst other things, a thorough investigation into the matter. But when Senator Idoma insisted that the matter be debated upon, the President of the Senate told the Chief Whip that an ad hoc committee headed by Sani Musa had already addressed the issues raised in the motion.
Mr. President, this motion was not personal. In fact, when I moved the motion and the ad hoc committee was set up and my name was included, I told the Senate President then that it would morally not be fair for me to be on the committee because I'm the mover of the motion. But they said I have to be on the motion. I have to be on the committee. And whenever they call the meeting, as he said, it's either I'm not here, I don't want to say whether it's deliberate or not, it doesn't matter. But as my privilege, up to now, I swear to God, I'm not supposed to even do that. I've not seen the report. I'm a senator. I moved the motion because I have my reason. My people are shortchanged. This is a serious matter. 500 billion was distributed and the other geopolitical zones got only 11%. My own region got only 1%. It's not a laughing matter. It's a serious matter that needs to be addressed.
Chairman of that ad hoc committee that sat on this particular motion is here. Is Senator Sani Musa. And he informed me just now that he has presented the report and the report has been adopted. And what that simply means is, a question we should ask is, have they forwarded the resolution of this Senate to the executive? If it has been forwarded, then further legislative work to be done is for us to investigate what is the status with that particular resolution as passed by the Senate. And if it has not, that means it's an entirely new motion, new report that needs to be prepared and forwarded to the Senate.
So, and when we were deliberating, we included almost every senator from each geopolitical zone. And we have been having that meeting, of which the chief whip have attended that meeting about twice. But the meeting continued. And if you will recall, the time we were about to submit the reports, the chief whip, I called you, you were in Maiduguri. And when they submitted the signature sheet to me for that report, you signed the report. Like any other, it was the only report I have seen that all the members of that committee signed. So I'm surprised that we have not seen it, but he has signed it, and it's a document. It's a document. You will see it, and it's not interim document. It is a report, final report, and it has been adopted. It was debated here and passed and adopted.
Relying on Order 63, Akpabio reminded the Dume that a matter that has been stepped down can only be brought back to the floor through a substantive motion.
And what you are saying was an anomaly. But you see, on this issue today, the Senate President has already ruled on it. And when the matter is stepped down, it does not mean it cannot resurface. So I want to refer you to Order 63. Distinguished colleague, please read Order 63. The Deputy Senate President, please go through Order 63. Read it out. No, if you want me to read, I will go ahead. The President of the Senate in the Senate and the chairman in any committee shall be responsible for the observance of the rules of order in the Senate and the committee respectively, and their decision upon any point of order shall not be open to appeal and shall not be reviewed by the Senate except upon a substantive motion after notice. Since I've ruled on it, if you want to repeal, you must come with a substantive motion. This issue is rested.
After the Senate President's ruling, Senator Ndome insisted that he be given an opportunity to present his motion, as issues therein are very personal to him as a representative of his people.
So when you say you have submitted the report and you ambush people to submit the report only when those are interested are not there, he asked me to sign on to an interim report. I still repeat, I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report. I have not seen the report. It's a privilege of mine. What are you talking about? I have not seen the report. And the report was so-called said at the tail end of our tenure. We are new this thing. And this is a very serious matter.
Distinguished Senator,
The Nigerian senators condemned the continuous extortion and harassment of the motorists and commuters by officers of the Nigeria Police Force on highways. The upper chamber also called the acting Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, to direct personnel of the force to stop the extortion and harassment of motorists and commuters plying the highways in the pretense of conducting stop and search. This was equal to a motion moved by Senator Oyekachi Peter of APC Ebonyi North at the plenary session on Wednesday. Leading to the motion, Senator Peters said the stop and search operation conducted by the police on the country's highways is an attempt to take undue advantage of motorists and commuters.
And movement on highways, roads and streets open to the public. Further, notes that Section 49, Sub 1 of the Police Act 2020 as amended empowers the police to conduct stop and search, while Subsection 2 empowers them to search and detain any person or vehicle where reasonable grounds for suspicion exist. Observe that Nigerian police force, which has one of its primary duty to facilitate the free passage and movement of commuters and motorists on public roads, has taken undue advantage by resorting to extortion, intimidation, and harassment of motorists. And worried that the continuous intimidation, harassment, torture that ordinary Nigerians pass through in the hands of these security agencies, especially Nigerian Police Force, accordingly resolves to mandate the Inspector General of Police and heads of other security agencies to direct their officers and men to stop forthwith the extortion, intimidation, and harassment of motorists and commuters on the highways.
Other senators who contributed to the motion were Ishaku Abo, David Chinkuta, and the Deputy Senate President, Barao.
What I saw in the social media, where a human being was handcuffed and a vehicle passed or was drove on that person, is highly inhuman. And this Senate, the highest assembly in this country, must get rid of that matter. We should not leave it to be investigated by the police alone. We must investigate. We can't allow this kind of thing to continue. Those who have hands, the man who drove that vehicle, and those who were around, we must get them and we must investigate this matter. And besides that, we should call on the IG. The extortion going on our highways should stop.
In his remarks, President of the Senate, Godswin Akpabio, urged the police boss to set up a committee to investigate the accusations of extortion, harassment, and killing against the officers. The Nigerian Senate has urged the Federal Ministry of Water Resources to revisit the proposed construction of Dasin Hausa Dam and any other dam to take in the flood waters from the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon. Senate resolution was sequent to the adoption of a motion on urgent need to intervene in the flooding issues in Shagamu, Ijebu areas of Ogun East, and Edu, Patigi areas of Kwara North and other parts of the country, sponsored by Senator Benga Daniel Ogun East and Senator Umar Sadiq Sulaiman Kwara North at plenary on Tuesday. Daniel, in his lead debate, said that the Nigerian Meteorological Agency had forecasted that the level of rainfall in 2023 would surpass that of 2022. According to him, the 2023 annual flood outlook prepared by Nigerian Hydrological Services showed that 178 local government areas in 32 states and the FCT fell within the highly probably flood risk areas.
The concern that a 14-year-old secondary school student died and several others reportedly swept away in a heavy downpour that affected major parts of Shagamu, such as Ajaka, Express Junction, Olayinka, Ogunyowo, and Isale Ojubile. To be further concerned that if the impending floods when the rain really starts in September to November 2023 is not checkmated through proper planning, there could be the danger of a huge loss of lives and properties. And informed that the climate change and the global warming have led to increase in temperature, thus affecting the coastlines, which has resulted in an increase in the volume of water in the sea. Accordingly, the Senate is hereby asked to resolve by constituting an ad hoc committee to liaise with relevant ministries, departments, and agencies to put in place erosion prevention and management mechanisms.
Other lawmakers in their contributions to the debate expressed concern that all over Nigeria dam poles had resulted in destruction and death as residents in the island and mainland in Lagos State were displaced. Business owners and residents were also displaced in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State.
There is a need for a long-term measure that will address the issue of flooding in Nigeria. One of such is the creation of dams, construction of dams to absorb some of these excess waters. Okay? It is also proposed here. And
let me add that it's not rocket science. We already know that these events will happen, and it has always been happening. Our approach to this normally is always to scratch the problem on the surface, which we do palliatives, we give them mattresses, give them food stuff. But Mr. President, what our people go through as a result of flooding is better imagined. They lose so much money in billions, and most of this money indeed are monies they borrow from banks to farm. Their farmland get washed every year. They lose lives. They lose their house. They lose hospitals. They lose schools. They get displaced completely. And Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, we are aware this will always happen.
Following debates from senators in support of the motion, the Senate further urged relevant ministries, departments, and agencies to release funds as contained in 2023 budget for dredging of blocked canals and water bodies, among others. Olayemi Eson, for Spy TV.
No.